Nope. Error. Your shoes can't go on that floor, Scarfy.
They're shoes.
I'm aware, but you live on the top bunk. The floor is a part of the bottom bunks.
Count time, ladies. Let's move it. So I'm supposed to what? Hang shit off the ceiling?
You free to do whatever you want with the ceiling.
That ain't a way to live.
Look, all I'm saying is, before y'all got here, this floor was bottom bunk property. And you showing your face don't change the rules. I don't care how much your mama loves you.
Excuse me, sir. Is it okay if I keep my shoes on the floor?
Sure. Okay. Okay, that's how you want it? You and Tova got beef now.
Well, that's a
We
nice
love
welcome
you.
right
I
there.
love you. Hi.
Exactly. I like this crowd right here. You guys are feeling it. That's awesome. Adrienne C Moore, welcome.
Adrienne C Moore. That is my name.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
So, people know you from Orange is the New Black now.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's usually what people probably stop you on the street for. Tell me.
I thought it was because of this braid. Because this braid is giving me life.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks very good. So tell me, let's start at the beginning, though. We're going to get to season 4, obviously, which is recently released on Netflix. But let's talk about what you thought when you first read the script for Orange is the New Black, when you were going in for your auditions. How did you feel?
When I first read the script, I didn't even get the full script. I just got the sides because they were very hush-hush about everything.
Secretive.
But a lot of people don't know this fact. I first got the sides for Tasty.
Oh, wow.
Yes, in the very beginning when they were first starting beginning the series, and I remember reading it. And first, can I just say, when I saw Genji Cohan's name on it, I was like, "Oh, I definitely want to be a part of this."
She's amazing. Yeah.
Because she did such an amazing job with Weeds. But obviously, I didn't get Tasty. And then when I
Do you remember what those scenes were like, or what kind of
it was
dialogue
the scene,
it was?
if you guys remember season 1, when Tasty first meets Piper in the bathroom in the shower, and she's like, "Oh, you got them TV." Wait, can I say that? I don't know if I can say that on
yes,
AOL
you're
Build.
allowed. You're allowed.
Might be as someone under 18 watching at home. But yeah, so it was that scene, and then it was one other scene that I can't recall. But then a few months later, I got the sides and the breakdown for Black Cindy, and I read it, and I said, "Oh, I know who this girl is.
Yeah.
I know who she is." I
Yeah.
mean, part of me is her, but then growing up in Atlanta, in Nashville, certainly run across that type of Cindy character in my lifetime, as I'm sure you all have too.
So you were pulling from people that you had met, growing up.
People I've met, or just people, like I ride the subway and
You're in New York,
the bus, and so you just meet those kind of people that are just very brazen and abrasive with their personalities and their opinions, and they don't mind sharing it, but then they have this light that's very charismatic and humorous about them.
And how do you like being able to act like that on set?
Fun. It is so much fun. I work with an amazing group of actors. So that alone is the blessing.
And so when you guys all first showed up on set for the first time, what were you thinking? Did you guys get along immediately, or did you start to create friendships with a couple of the girls and then everybody? How did everybody react chemistry-wise?
Well, by the time I joined, which is around episode 7, they were well underway into their friendships and so forth. And so I was the rookie, the new girl, but they were very welcoming. And I knew Danielle, who plays Tasty, prior to filming, and so she was sort of my my host, so to speak. So she, took me around the set and introduced me to everybody, and it was like, "This is my girl Adrienne. She cool. So
give you a stamp of approval.
She cool. So that was my first introduction, and then prior to that, I had done a couple of episodes on 30 Rock, and so some people had seen that.
Let's talk about 30 Rock for just a second. So you're one of my favorite characters. I'm not sure if you guys remember when Tina Fey and Dean Winters go in to get married, right? Is that what happens? And you and Jason Sudeikis have a little bit of a
We have a moment, and I have to say that was actually the second time I did 30 Rock. The first time, if
really?
you guys remember, it was in the same season when they did it was like an Office Max store. They sort of simulated all those
I remember
famous,
that well, yeah.
sex scenes from like movies and so forth like that. And I come in and I'm like, what y'all think y'all doing? So that was like my first encounter. And so the people on Orange had seen those clips.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, oh my God, we saw you on 30 Rock. You were hilarious. So that didn't hurt that I already had a little bit of cachet.
Yeah, exactly.
Walking onto the set.
You were famous, you know.
I wasn't famous. Now, famous is a stretch. Cachet is a little bit easier. It's a little bit more humble.
That's great, yeah. And so tell me a little bit about being on the set. I mean, you guys shoot here in New York City. How do you guys, kill time? I mean, is it busy? Is it all work when you guys are shooting these episodes? Or do you have any time to have some fun?
It depends. I mean, it depends on the scene that we're filming, who's called that day, where we are. I know a lot of times when we're filming in the studio, it is, for me at least, a little bit more laid back, just because, that's like our home. It is our home. And so when we're not filming or on lunchtime, if they're setting up cameras or they're working on another scene or whatever the case may be, you will hang out in each other's rooms. I'm sure you guys follow us, and so you see how we hang out on set. And then we also film way out in upstate New York. And those days are just long because we have to leave the house at 4 a.m. in the morning and drive all the way upstate New York. And that's just a day. Yeah. It's just a day.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about what you did to research this character. I mean, did you do any heavy research lifting as far as inmates and how they had lived, or was it just a script that you were using to create the character?
I think it was, I don't know how much necessary research was needed, because I feel like regardless that these characters are in prison, they're still people. Mm-hmm. They still have the same emotions that we have. They have the same, humor that we have. So I think that's where the work began. It was just because I think the whole point of the story, and not the whole point of Orange, but a big crux of why we're telling this story is that we want audience to see that even though they are inmates, they're no different from you and I. They just made a mistake that got caught. So that's really, to me, where I like to begin. This is a person, not a person that's a hardened criminal, that's a bad person, that's stuck away, but they're a person just like you and me. So let me find the humanity in this person. Yeah,
and I'm sure they appreciate that. I mean, former inmates, have they reached out to you at all? You get stopped on the street by people who have been through the prison system, and what do they think about it?
I've gotten stopped by a lot of people, but I would say, the social media has been a great way for me to connect with fans and people that have either experienced time in prison or have family members or work in the prison system. They've reached out and they've been very supportive and encouraging with Orange, and have even said, so much of what you guys are talking about, has been what we've experienced or what I experienced or, what a family member has experienced. So that's always a great thing to know, that what you're talking about is something that is very relatable, unfortunately in that environment.
Yeah, and I know in some cases, people who are in the prison system are allowed to watch TV. Has anybody said they watched it while they were?
Yeah, but I don't know if they can watch Orange in prison, because that's on Netflix. That's on Netflix. They got to have a Netflix account. I don't know.
That would be a very cushy prison. That's actually a good point.
That would be a really nice prison. I'd be like, if I ever had to go, which I don't want to, I'd be like, can I get the one that has the Netflix account, please?
So let's talk a little about season 4. Congratulations, the season just dropped, and people can watch it on Netflix right now. I mean, it's so intense. I mean, it starts off right off the bat with a prison guard getting attacked. So tell me a little bit about what you first thought when you were reading those scripts as they were coming in. Did you make the connection that this was going to get a little more dark, a little more intense?
I didn't know where it was going to go, and I'm glad that I didn't, because it's sort of, I don't want to say ignorance is bliss, but in a way it was, because it allowed, for me at least, to just experience each moment as if it were that day, So it wasn't me thinking, oh, I know where this storyline is going to go, or I know what's going to happen to this character. It gave me the opportunity to really live in that moment of each episode and take the journey with Cindy as she took it.
And you have, we showed a clip of you and your roommate having a little bit of argument there. I mean, how's the relationship been on set, or while you're reading these scripts? Did you guys get to talk about it when you got your script? Do you guys call each other and say, "Hey, did you read this line?" Or this?
We don't necessarily call each. Well, actually, I take that back, because there were some times as we got deeper and deeper into the season. Like I call like Danielle or I call Uzo and was like, "Did you read the script?" Uzo was always getting on me about that. She's like, "Adrienne, did you read the script?" She was like, "You better read that script, Adrienne."
It's a good impression, actually. Who else do you do?
Has, like,
Let's
this,
do them
she
all.
can get I call her like the Oprah-esque voice. She'll kind of get like this, and it's just really intelligent. When she speaks. But we would have, I would say, we probably had the most conversation than I can recall on this season, just sort of behind the scenes with each other and with the crew, because, as you said, from episode 1, we did not dial back anything, and from episode 1, it just gets more and more intense, and so each time we would get the new episode, it was just like, "Y'all, did you read it? Did you see what happened so and so?" And we, conversation would arise from that, especially when things started percolating, I should say, between the white supremacist and the Latina dorm. I hope I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not going to give any
major crucial parts.
Away,
yeah, exactly. Yes.
But yeah, it got really deep, and to a point where I remember one time Uzo and I were talking about it, and she was like, "How do you feel about that?" And I was like, the conversation needs to be had, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I mean, and is Gen G, does she let you guys know? I mean, is she asking you guys' opinion on these characters? I mean, is she researching? Is she reading the news? Is she applying those things into the scripts? Do you notice that?
Yeah, that's one thing I love, actually, about Gen G's approach to Orange, is that she definitely keeps a pace and her ear to the pavement about what is going on. And I think if you see, if you've seen this season or even the previous seasons, when we started talking about privatization, that's something that, I know in the when you're watching in the Litchfield world, it seems kind of funny, or, it seems sort of a smaller issue to the overall storyline of the season. But in actuality, that's something that is going on, that is affecting our prisons today. Huge companies are coming in to turn these government prisons into profitable organizations, and it's less about rehabilitating the inmate, more about how can I make a profit off of
keeping them around
being
as long as possible.
Bed, and that's an unfortunate thing, because it's not really solving the problem.
Right. Yeah, and it's making things a little more on edge, and that's what happens in this season. The cellmates and the prison guards have a super combative relationship that's been there from the start. How is it to act out those scenes and then see these guys on a daily basis? I mean, is everybody able to just drop it, or is it like I need to go to my room and
I think I think as an actor you have to always, as much as you take the job seriously and the character seriously and the role seriously, I think you always have to keep a spirit of play and joy, because even in joy you can find sorrow and you can find those difficult moments. But I have to say, for example, one of the characters that's probably one of the most hated right now in season 4 is Piscatella. And if you ever met Brad, he is the biggest teddy bear. And it's always the big ones. He is like the biggest teddy bear in the world. Like, he has this big smile on his face. He's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And just like, I don't know, are you gonna crush me right now? Because he was like a linebacker or something in the NFL like years ago. But he is the sweetest and the nicest guy you could have ever met. And it's so interesting because before I got to see his work on Orange, I was only meeting him as Brad. And so I was like, "Oh my God, he's so nice." And then as I'm unfolding season 4, I'm looking at him, I'm like, Piscatella's kind of stank. Whoa, you know. So, but yeah, you have to find the medium between when you can let it go and just be who you are, Charles, Adrian, and you know who you guys are, versus now, okay, I'm playing this character.
Right. And were there any moments, and obviously we said we didn't want to get into spoilers or anything like that. Were there any scripts that were just complete? I mean, there's some moments that are devastating for your character. You have to really adapt, you know. I feel like this is probably the most challenging episodes you've had, you know, so far as the series has gone. So how did you get prepared for those? And were there any, scenes that you found very difficult to act out, you know, without getting into?
I will say the one scene that I remember, besides the obvious ones toward the end, but one of the earlier scenes that I remember.
You guys have to watch it. You guys have to watch it. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the earlier scenes that I remember was when we were watching, and I'll just say this because I don't think it'll give anything away, but we were watching old footage of Judy King when she was first starting out. I don't know if y'all got to that part in the season. And I just remember reading that and thinking, and we're enjoying this at the table? And so at that point, I remember a couple of us had some people had conversations with the writers about, I don't know if we necessarily be enjoying this moment. So that I remember was a moment that kind of got shifted a bit in terms of the dialogue from the ghetto dorm.
Yeah. And, you know, now that you've wrapped, I mean, how does it work when you guys wrap a season? Are you talking to Genji? Do you know what she's got coming down the pipeline? Or are you completely like, what are we doing next season? Or is it just...
I think it depends on the relationship that you know you have with her. I mean, the thing is, the writer's room is in L.A. We film here, so that's part of the divide. But then also, you know, whenever we do go to L.A. or they come here, you know, we definitely sit around and we talk. And honestly, sometimes we don't even really talk about Orange because I think these women and the guys and Genji and the writers are so incredible human beings that you just want to get to know them as a person. I don't know if that's necessarily the right answer, but that's the truth.
Yeah, that's great. That's another question. I mean, do you guys, as a lot of New York actors, you know, you guys are all doing your work around here. Do you guys hang out when you guys are wrapped? I mean, who's hanging out? You know, who's sticking around?
We do. I mean, when we wrap, though, because we are filming 6 months out of the year and it's difficult to work on other projects, sometimes when we're finished, you know, we are off traveling, doing other projects and things like that. Like I was working on some stuff in LA, and then I was spending time with my family because I don't really get to see them for 6 months out of the year, and I'm a family girl, and I have nieces and nephews. Come on now. Understand, man.
They're not allowed to watch Orange is the New Black.
They're not allowed. They're 3 and 9 months old. They're definitely not allowed. Although the 9-month-old could, she wouldn't understand anything. She would be like,
smile when she saw you on screen. That's all. Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely trying to keep in touch with each other when we're off season. But I mean, everyone is so, you can only imagine, just how busy everyone can be right now because the show has definitely changed a lot of our lives. It's been a game changer, and so we try to make the most of those opportunities when they can come.
Yeah, who do you talk to the most often? Is there a group text or a couple notes sent?
Probably my ghetto dorm girls are the ones I talk to most, like Vicky and Danny and Ooze. And then when I'm out in LA, I'll hang out with Laura or I'll hang out with Natasha. In fact, I'm going to see Natasha and them tomorrow. They're coming to Shakespeare in the Park.
There we go. Well, let's talk about you and Shakespeare in the Park. Congratulations.
I don't know if I should announce
Have you guys seen that? Wow. It's a hard ticket to get, by the way, so it's not like you're going to get rushed to anything over there. So the Public Theater puts it on in Central Park every year in New York City, and you guys are coming to the end of your run. How's this experience been? I mean, it's beautiful, New York theater.
Well, I think so. If I remember, LaTanya was on here a couple last week or so, and I think she gave the perfect picture of what working in the park is like. But before I give my opinion, I will say working. I don't get a chance to do Shakespeare a lot, so that in itself was a joy to give myself that challenge. And I was a bit scared of it at first. I was like, Shakespeare? I don't really talk Shakespeare. But they provide such great support at the theater with vocal coaches and people that just really help you understand the language and how to send the language to whomever it is you're working with. And Phillida Lloyd, who was our director, is amazing. Is an amazing human being and an amazing director. So having said all that, which has been a wonderful process, y'all, let me tell y'all about this heat. Let me tell y'all about these planes and these mosquitoes and these raccoons.
It's an open theater, Delacorte Theater in Central Park, yeah.
Yes, at the Delacorte Theater. I mean, like literally, actually, the other night we always get planes, but on this night in particular, not last night, the night before last, this plane, I swear, was like right above us. And
people trying to catch some of the play, maybe, from their windows.
Maybe they were, because they couldn't get a ticket, because it was, But literally, it was so loud that I just had to stop. I was like, there's no way I can compete with this, even with the microphone. And so I just held this little pose, and the audience went crazy, because they were like, yeah, you do that, yeah. And I was like, and then, like, you carry on. But the one thing I love about theater is just this idea that you just have to respond in the moment, and you have to be in the moment at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. And how is it working with such a great female cast? I mean, it's unprecedented, and it's a great situation to have with Tammy the Shrew.
It's an amazing opportunity. I mean, we have Janet McTeer, Cush Jumbo, LaTanya, who is here, Gail Rankin, Judy Gold, Rosa, and just so many wonderful actors. I'm forgetting everybody because it's like 15 of us. That you feel empowered because you're working with all these women that are dynamos in theater, and they're triple and quadruple threats. I mean, they can sing, they can dance, they can act, they can play instruments and all this kind of stuff. And then most of the women in this cast are playing men. So the journey in learning how to play a man, not just to physicalize it, but to just have this mental idea in your head, like, I'm a man, and what that means is the whole idea of taking up space and not apologizing for it. I felt doubly empowered. I was like, dude, you can't tell me nothing anymore. Like, I'm a woman, but I'm a man. I'm a woman, but I'm a man.
I love that. I love that. That's
Watch
great.
out.
Bravo, bravo. So we have some questions to the audience now. So, yeah, some people have mics.
Hi, Adrienne. Hi. Some of the most talked about beauty moments on the runways of New York Fashion Week, Milan, and Paris were Afro hair, and it is still trending. Your character, Black Cindy, defies all beauty standards. Not only do you rock rough and tough with your Afro puffs, but you roll with a crew that has not Afro hair. When you were cast, what was the discussion like and how your image would be portrayed, and did you have any input on that?
Oh, thank you. Yes, all the girls on our show are natural, so yay to that.
A hand for that, absolutely.
I remember when we first auditioned, they just said, just come. Like, it was almost like, just if you want to just roll out of bed and just come to the, like, they were like, don't do anything, don't put on makeup.
That's a dream gig right there.
Dream gig. And it's interesting because, and why Uzo, for example, ended up with the Bantu knots in the beginning is that's how she wears her hair. That's how she wore it. Now y'all ruined it for her. She can't do it anymore without being noticed. But that's how, like, that was, a protective styling method that a lot of natural girls use. And so rolling out of the house with the Bantu knots, and look what happened. But yeah, one thing I love about Orange is that I think part of exploring who these characters are and finding this comfort in them being comfortable in who they are. I, as the portal to which this character comes through, I have to be comfortable within myself. And so I had no problems being like, can you do something with it? And the hair and makeup team, we have a great hair and makeup team that definitely can help us wrangle it all. And then sometimes I'm like, look, I'll just do it, because I know my hair.
There we go. Hopefully you get an extra paycheck for that. Okay, next question.
Adrienne. Hi. I'm one of the people that stops you in the street quite a few times before.
I hope I was nice. Wasn't I nice?
Yeah, we took a selfie, like two.
Okay, good. See, I was nice. See, I'm nice. Okay.
So I know that in the show you meet a lot of different characters, different ethnic backgrounds. How does that play in screen and behind the scenes? How does that mesh together, the 15 of you as a group behind cameras?
Being that we're all of different ethnicities?
Yes.
I mean, to me, I've always come from the glass is half full, not empty, and that, the more the merrier. So I've always, even growing up, I always was surrounded by people of different ethnicities, and it never bothered me whatsoever. So for me, I look less at the person's ethnic makeup, but more so, who they are here. Like, can I just have a conversation with you? Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I start from. Yeah.
Nice, great question. Next.
Thank you.
Hi. The part in the script that I've read the most about is when your character said that Black people can be racist. And so I'm wondering what the cast thought about that. Was there any discussion with the cast, pushback with the writers, and how that came about and stayed, and how you feel about that line?
That's a good question. I don't remember much conversation around that, but I think in general, sometimes we can tend to be, I don't know if you want to call it racist, but we can hate on other people's races, whether they are of Muslim descent or they're Jewish descent. I think sometimes racism's definition has expanded, outside of the regular, black and white scope of things. I think, in our society today, when we have so much going on with other countries and we're sort of embattled with so many different countries, and that how they're painted to America, how they're sort of stigmatized and stereotyped to an Americans can sometimes have a racial undertone. Because I know, like, for example, when 9/11 happened and how folks were just putting down the Islam and Muslim community, that to me was an act of racism.
Yeah, we have time for one more question right here.
Good afternoon. Welcome to AOL. We are so excited that you are here.
Thank you so
We
much.
love you. I'm an Orange is the New Black family. I have my daughters here, especially to see you. We love you so very much.
Thank you so
and
much.
your goddess braid is kicking. It is life. We love it.
I can't do it too hard. It might fall out.
In season 3, the soliloquy that you gave when you were trying to be brought into the Jewish faith was magnificent. I think it is award worthy in and of itself. It was really wonderfully delivered, and the script was fantastic. And it even made me evaluate my spiritual life. And what I want to ask of you is, did it have a similar profundity in your existence, and did it prompt other people to question, evaluate, reconsider the choices they were making, not without making you divulge your private spiritual life, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the scenes that gets talked most about from season 3, and I'm truly honored. And yes, to answer your question, it did have a profound effect on me. I think in talking about some of the similarities between myself and Cindy, we both, came up under very religious homes. Hers seemed a little bit more dogmatic and brazen than mine. But certainly I grew up where, Monday through Sunday, there was something going on at the church. And I grew up in the South, too, so, we're like the Bible Belt of the world or whatnot. So church was very integral in my upbringing. And when I was working on that scene, I tried it a couple different ways. I did it sort of with the, first few times, the typical, like, Cindy, yeah, I'm coming to get this on. Let me get my little Jewish meals on, da-da-da-da. But then, as it was going on, and I was like tripping up over the words, and I was getting frustrated with myself, and I kind of had this moment where I was like, okay, Adrienne, you know what you're supposed to be saying. You know what this character is saying. There's so many things about this character that you relate to when it comes to this Christianity thing. So stop. Like, I think I was thinking too much. And so as I started one of them, I think the take that they have finally put in there, I literally had this flashback of like all the times I was thinking or going to church and hearing these sermons about sinning and who's a saint, and it did have this emotional effect on me. And I had this professor back in grad school who always said that, you know, we're closer to our characters than we think, almost to the point where they think, you know, there's this belief that our characters choose us and not vice versa, because I think there's a lesson in a journey in all those experiences. And for me, even starting way back when I was a kid and on through college, where I minored in religion, and you know, I was always somehow involved in church and Christianity and religion and so forth like that. And I remember thinking, I think the biggest thing that's most important that Cindy touches on is this idea that it doesn't matter what your religious proclivities are or your sexual orientation or whatever. We're just called to do God. You know, we're not here to judge. I'm not here to judge and be anyone's jury on who's more righteous than the other. I'm just called to love. And I think that was the journey that Cindy realized in that moment.
That's great. Well, you can catch more of that great Cindy dialogue on Orange is the New Black. Season 4 is on Netflix right now. And try to catch her in Taming of the Shrew. One more hand for Adrienne C Moore, guys. That was beautiful.